Hi, this is the CORD QA meeting, which is happening on May 24th, 2018. And today, the topics for discussion is that the QA wants to finalize the test that we want to target for 6.0 and just wanted to get confirmation from the development team. And if there are any last minute changes, then we can accommodate them. And we just wanted to prioritize these tests if there are like large amount of tests that we want to cover. And also, since now we are almost close to the end of the release, so we will start checking the bugs, and then we have the first bug scrub meeting today, and there are some high priority bugs on the list. We can just go over them, and there are also block bugs. So having said that, so this is the test plan. We had already gone through this in one of our meetings previously, but I have updated this test plan based on the new changes that we had made regarding the build procedure and the test that we want to incorporate as part of it. So just wanted to show everyone like what we are covering, so that please give us some any comments if you think that this is not the right way, or if you need to cover in a different way. So the first item is under the CORD platform related test that we had originally planned for. So there are we have Luca also already discussed about this regarding few tests, like how we want to cover. So right now our plan is to have new jobs from Jenkins which trigger every night, like we used to have in 5.0, and these tests will start using a VM as a launching as a launch pad, and then we are accessing the pods, and we start installing we do a Helm install of our CORD Lite profile and related Helm charts, and then we perform the basic installation tests like the profile container checks that we used to do before, and we are updating currently to make sure that we have the right Q8 containers, and also verifying the container logs for errors. And after we do these basic checks, we have the end-to-end control plane test from XOS point of view. So we run them, and then we have the data plane test. So this is a challenge here in the data plane test. In 5.0, we had a automated way of testing from the end to end. In this release, automation of data plane scenarios is a strict goal for us, because we haven't identified yet how we want to do it as part of 6.0 from in our framework. And since Ponsem is available, so we still need to figure out how we need to do. So what we are planning is for this release 6.0, we want to perform some manual scenarios after we receive the OLT and ONU that we have targeted for, and we will be getting some time next week. We should be able to set up the OLT and ONU in our in the Flex Labs. So any comments on this one? So what do we do about the data plane test?
Yeah, so before when you say you had end-to-end tests before, this was code in a box, right?
Here there is a Q3 environment, the cluster environment, the physical pod that we have.
You're using the fabric, but not an OLT, obviously.
Yes, not yet, but we are planning to have the OLT and ONU, which we have already ordered, and that will be arriving next week.
So
to answer your question, previously the internal on the physical pod, what we were doing, we did not have an OLT or ONU.
Yeah.
We were just spinning up a test container, acting as a client, and then sending traffic through the traffic from that. So
you can actually still do that kind of thing, right?
Okay.
Earlier.
In the OLT and ONU, we can automate
I'm guessing what they're saying is that won't be ready for 6.0.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's why I was mentioning it's like a stretch goal for 6.0, because not sure if we can do it, but we are trying that.
Yeah, but so it's still possible if you can deploy a test container somewhere. It's still possible to make that to test the fabric functionality, right? To test either straight sort of no VLAN tagged traffic and see if they can go out to the internet, or you could even have a test client that pretends to be an OLT, right? Sending out double VLAN tag traffic, and see how that goes.
But also, if we get the OLT next week, we don't have to bother about the test client. And setting up the test shouldn't be too hard, because it's just, you just need to send one Tosca to XOS and check if you can ping.
Yeah, I mean, you still need a test client. It's just that that's just on the other side of the OLT. It's really the same thing. But I think.
So you are saying that having the OLT and ONU, it's easier, or to you?
I think Taylor's saying that once we have the OLT and ONU, it's not very hard to get that working.
Okay.
But I think you just need to figure out where is your test client and your test sink sitting, right? Because in old code we had our compute nodes connected to the data plane, and so we could just deploy test clients there, whereas now we don't.
So probably, Jono, we might maybe we can sit with you regarding these scenarios once we get the OLT and ONU. Or Luca can help us, Jono or Luca, and then we can figure out how we want to do it from there. If you have, if we can share the development ONU, OLT and ONU and the pod that you have right now, so that will help us go faster next week before we install our OLT and ONU on the QA pods.
When are you going to get your OLT and ONU?
We were supposed to receive it this week, but yesterday it should have received the OLT, especially to Flex, but I haven't received any notice on that. But let's say if we receive the OLT, we still have ONU on the way. So that will be next week.
So, yeah, I don't know. I would say it makes sense. I don't know. I guess we can maybe discuss offline, but like I say, it's not that hard to make a test client that you plug into the fabric that sort of, even without an OLT, you can pretend to send from an OLT, right? Just make a client that sends double VLAN tag traffic.
Okay.
But maybe if you're going to get the OLT very soon, maybe that doesn't make sense to work on that.
Yeah, I think that that way we are not going to test a big part of the system.
No, that is the fabric, which is already very well tested. So,
So I think the important thing to test is that XOS is correctly configuring the OLT and Volta and all the chain.
Yeah.
Testing the fabric, and they are testing every single part of it.
That's true. Agreed.
Yeah, that should be the first priority. Agree. So, all right. So we have another, I'm sorry, I'm just moving. If there are anything else to add on there. So another question is having the Minikube environment. So since we do not have the scripts available to test Minikube, so we can install ourselves on one of the machine, and whatever tests that we have right now, we can also execute on them on the Minikube. So, so any comments on Minikube environment? Do you guys think that should we spend more time or less time, or just run them? If there are some issues on Minikube, does it really matter?
What's the question? Sorry, I didn't understand what's exactly the question.
No, the question is how important is Minikube, or is it equally important as having having a cluster of nodes, or it really doesn't matter?
For which kind of?
I think it's only important for API testing and maybe quick acceptance testing. All the real deployments are going to happen on KubeSpray.
Okay.
Is that correct?
But hold on, guys. Again, we are going in the loop of focusing on a specific tool, right? I just discovered that AT&T will deploy on a completely different Kubernetes again. So Google will deploy on a different Kubernetes again. So don't stick too much your head. It's fine if we say, as an example, we want to deploy on KubeSpray and Minikube just to see the two differences. But we're going to say two users, deploy on any Kubernetes you want. And we already know that service providers that are going to work with us will deploy on other Kubernetes, which we don't even have access to. So I'm just saying, fine for the purpose of this discussion to say, you know, just as an example, I would suggest you to take the thing that is most comfortable for you to use. It takes for now less resources ever. Now, if we want to add 2 different tests on KubeSpray and Minikube, just, you know, to use 2 instead of 1, different type of system is fine.
But which kind of tests are we talking about? The API tests?
No, earlier you were asking Meteor. So earlier, remember, we used to have a virtual environment like a CIAB, where we just used to make sure that we also validate all these tests that we have, and automation of a simple data plane test as well.
We wanted that for 6.0.
So you wanted that?
No, we
will not have that environment for 6.0 because we are lacking features in Bonsim and we are lacking feature in the emulated fabric.
Okay.
So that we are not going to have that environment for 6.0.
Okay.
It's bad, but there is nothing we can do about it.
No, to be fair, even in code in a box, it wasn't emulating Fabric or
No, I agree.
Right. So
No, but the tests that she's talking about of the quick post-installation tests are making sure that the containers got deployed properly, the services have containers like the Excel services.
I would say
Basic checks.
for that, I would use absolutely Minikube. There's no reason for me to.
Yeah, because it's going to be working on KubeSpray too.
Basically testing
The Helm charts and that they're deployed properly.
the question is, are you testing data plane stuff or not, right? In this case, we're not.
But still, guys,
Because
even
So I think that the test should, I don't know if this has any implication, but the fact that you are running on Minikube or KubeSpray or whatever else should not matter for the test, because you, like, if I understand correctly, the test you deploy with Helm, and then you use the kubectl
to
CLI
verify.
to check where the containers are. You don't really care where.
It doesn't matter where you deploy it on.
But also, honestly, even if it would be a data plane testing, doing a test on KubeSpray or Minikube would be like saying, you know, I want to test that Onos works and I do it with an HP switch.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fine. But this doesn't tell you that it works with any switch that people will use, right? It's just, and you know, if you test with 2 switches, it's of course better maybe than testing with 1, but that is really a good validation that our stuff 100% work.
Yeah, no, and this is not meant to be the 100.
Is the question which Kubernetes deployments we're supporting, or is the question how do we run a specific test and which specific tests run in which specific environments in the QA?
I think the question is what specific installation, I mean, the type of Kubernetes is important. Like, let's say when Luca is talking about AT&T, Google, I mean, if we see the commonality among them, what is that they will be using? So now, since he's saying that they are using a different Kubernetes environment completely, so I have a question for Luca also on that.
So I think the abstraction is still not clear. Here, the abstraction is that Kubernetes, in principle, we are operating on the assumption that different Kubernetes distribution provide the same abstraction at the top, and if there will be problems, will be specific to specific deployments.
Yeah. So the point is that it doesn't actually matter. There isn't an important method of installing Kubernetes. The point is that we have a Kubernetes, and then we run the test on top of that.
So philosophically, we have been saying for the last month or so that we will tell the QA team what they need to do, and that's what is being asked.
You want something Minikube?
Yeah, that's the question, and that is the answer, right? So we say what scheme is that they need to use to implement and test, right? And we say we need Minikube with a specific set of switches. Yeah, that's it. That's the question, and that's the answer.
Okay, we can run the test on Minikube because we assume that it works the same way as every other Kubernetes installation, but it uses less resources. So let's use that one for test.
Yeah.
Okay.
So does it differ depending on the kind of test, which environment you need to use?
No.
I mean, I'm not sure about the data plane, right? Because see,
right?
yeah,
Well, it depends. I mean, the emulated data plane should be able to run on anything, right? Even Minikube. Once we have it.
Also the real one, right?
yeah. So the real one.
You have to install Minikube on that server.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Right.
The data plane is completely separated from the controller
Yeah.
plane, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, Suchitra, to be concrete, I would uninstall probably and we can do this in a second, right? I would uninstall from the Flex pod that we already have, the CubeStray, and I would simply move the pod in 3 different Minikube pods that you can use in parallel for different tests.
Right. I mean, you're saying
But the utilization of resources, I guess.
Okay, sounds good then. So I think we might need some help when we get the real ONU and ONU. So I request help from Jono and Luca in helping these testing out the data plane scenarios, because we have never used this equipment before.
Well, but this time you guys have also documentation, right? By the end of this week, you will have documentation, and you should be the first one at least being able to understand. Well, then I'm not saying we won't help. I'm just saying start from the documentation, get inside it, and because we should also get out of this loop that developers have QA work to do, right? You should understand a little bit more what's going on and propose as well to us how to move forward.
I agree. That said, given the short time, if we can help doing anything,
just check it offline.
So if the documentation is ready, definitely we will go through it, and then we will definitely, that way we are also checking the documentation. If it is not ready, then yes, then if you want to proceed further, we might need some help.
So give me one more day, I think 1 or 2 more days. No, I'm writing the documentation these days for you. So
it's like 2 weeks that a year.
Yeah, but 3 days that I'm writing it, right? So this time I'm really working on it. So just give me 1 or 2 more days, and then I think we'll be able to publish it. Well, honestly, I'm fine if we publish it even now. So I don't see big deals.
Yeah.
Even by the end of today.
By the way, the cool thing is that if you go on github.opencore.org/docs, you can already see the documentation.
Yeah, this is the basic thing. That's a very good way. Do you want to write it down, Suchitra?
And on a side note, I'm going to set up a meeting for maybe Tuesday or Wednesday next week, because I want to do a human test of the documentation. And I think if someone from Quake can join it and waste a couple hours in seeing if we did a good job or not, that would be helpful. But I'll send you for that.
So what is the target to finish most of the documentation? Because see, even 5.0 we had verified most of the documentation, and if we get it little earlier, then I think we will definitely help in verifying all these docs as well, for sure.
Well, this is what we are doing, right?
But yeah, I'm just asking. Like, so next week, if we have,
but don't take it as a one-time job. The documentation is just like code, right? Especially now when it's a continuous effort. So I don't want to arrive in the situation where, well, first of all, it's not just me, right? For me, I'm doing my part. I'd expect that just as me or everyone else is filling in his part of documentation. So given this as assumption, which is a quite big assumption, I'm writing my part and should be ready really in 1 or 2 days, I think.
All right.
But it will continue to evolve, right? I'm just trying to don't postpone it to the last second for sure. So sooner is better. But keep in mind that we may discover bugs and new workflows and stuff along the development, and we continuously update it.
Okay, so regarding the documentation update, so when you release this document, if we find some issues with the document, should we just go ahead and update, or we just talk to you first?
I think we can make a patch and ask someone to review the patch and match it.
Okay. So moving on to the next item, so the new test for validating the scripts to install the base environment. So this is the one Luca was requesting, that the scripts that whatever we have, we will test once a while on one of a VM, or like once a while when we want to just install KubeSpray and Helm, and verifying the base containers. And other scenario is install and uninstall OpenStack, and also installing and installing the base packages which are required for OpenStack on the operating system. So other than that, Luca, are we missing anything else?
No, I think the only thing is that we need 3 VMs, and I will have a short conversation with Zach offline, because we need to think a little bit to to something. But yeah, in short, anyway, you need 3 machines, either that are physical VMs or whatever.
Just one question: why are we testing the uninstall? Do we care about it?
The uninstall? Who said uninstall?
I'm in the document. Install, uninstall, spray, install, uninstall.
No, we don't.
You don't want to, because I think
then we can wipe out the machine.
Yeah, I think we will destroy the machines time by time. However, we will do it, but we'll create essentially 3 VMs. We deploy KubeSpray. Helm won't be part of the script, but we will need to manually do what we prescribe to do in the documentation. Once Helm is there, we deploy one of our
in the pipeline.
Right. Yeah. And then on top of it, we deploy one of our, Helm charts, a random one. You just do a Helm ls, you see that things are there. That's it. You just destroy the VMs again.
So we're testing the installation guide once in a while.
No, we're testing a very specific thing. We're testing, in that case, the script that installs KubeSpray that we provide to people.
Yeah.
That just related to the KubeSpray part.
Yeah.
And to be fair, since the goal is to test just that script, we shouldn't even do the end part of the test.
Yeah,
we should just do kubectl, get pods and see that things
no resources, power. Yeah. Yeah, it is testing that script that we provide, the helper or guide script.
Yeah, so these are the script tests, yes. And regarding the OpenStack, any update?
I think Andy is maybe online.
So I am continuing to push patches to the base OpenStack profile for XOS. I'm also working on a script. I've got a patch that installs a single node OpenStack, sort of like Cord in a Box. It's pretty simple. I'm looking for reviews on that script. Suchitra and Kailash, I can add you as reviewers on that if you like to take a look. But yeah, I think at least on Cloud Lab where I'm testing it, it seems pretty reliable to bring up a single node OpenStack that is capable of installing mcord. So I think that's in pretty good shape.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Andy.
I'll add you as reviewers right now.
Okay. Thanks, Andy. Okay, so moving on, it's already 10:28. The other question that I wanted to bring up is the RCOD specific, the old subscriber chain. So we decided that we don't want to add overhead of maintaining these tests, which actually some of the tests have already been realigned to make these changes and work on it. My other question is that do we want to support these Jenkins jobs for older builds, and if they are failing, what do we do with this? Should we keep supporting like checking on what are the issues and make them fix, and then having successful builds? for the older releases that we have for 4.1 and 5.0?
I think so. Unlikely.
My opinion is no. I think that's a complete
Throw away.
no, I agree.
Destroy.
It's a complete waste of our time. But I think this is a bigger issue that we have to take to the TST, right?
I think since we claim that we support to release in the past, it's gonna be painful,
No,
but
but-
we'll have to.
But I think that's a rule that's just doesn't make sense in this case, right? And so I think we should not adhere to it. I mean, we can bring a ledger, sure, we can make an argument, but yeah, I think it's a wider community level thing that we have to agree on.
For sure, for 6.0 we can drop it.
Mm.
For 6.0 we can drop that test.
You
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
the drop what? I mean, drop the other older test, 6.0?
Yeah, 6.0 testing, Cordina box, etc. doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yes, we haven't created any jobs for supporting the old way of profiles. Yeah, so maybe should we bring this up in the TST then, 4.1 and 5.0, or should we just continue? What's the
Yeah.
I think let's discuss it. We'll see if the idea of not supporting the old versions has any
supporters?
Yeah.
Jonas, and that's for me.
Okay.
Well, we have the jobs, the build jobs for the older, at least 5.0 and 4.1 too. We can continue. We can continue to run it. 4.0 is not. 4.1 is sooner.
Yeah.
But there's obviously bigger changes. But in the sense of, like, for example, if there's a failure, not a bug in code from 5.0, obviously, because that's tested and released. But if there's like a failure due to like an Ansible version, and it's not building because of that, maybe that's something we go back and then pin it to something like that. But in terms of like a specific R-Core service chain bug, do we care about going back and fixing it? We kind of just ignore that.
Yeah,
But
we should ignore that.
majority has to fix the
Installation.
issues.
Yeah. there's
Yeah.
something like that.
So
It's
that
just-
Yeah, that's the reason I was asking. The test jobs, sometimes they fail. So we really do not want to spend time going back and checking why the test failed. And so if everyone thinks that, if the TST thinks that no, we do have to support 4.1 and 5.0 because we already mentioned that we are supporting two releases, then we really have to spend some bandwidth on validating all these test jobs like we do earlier.
Yeah, well, once we release 6.0, then we don't have to support 4.1 anymore, right? It's just 5.0.
No, we have for 4.1 and 5.0. We are technically supporting two releases, but then we never made a great job in doing that.
No, yeah.
Or two releases back from what's, so once 6.0 gets released, that would be, we support 5.0 and 6.0, and then
Oh, right, yeah. So, yeah.
Totally 3 releases.
total 3.
Yeah, I think because 6.0 is considered the current release, and we are supporting
Two
the.
back, so 4.1.
Right, I didn't remove forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we are not going to have big bugs in the service chain or stuff that requires a lot of time.
Yeah, it's
The only thing is
just a waste of resources.
The good news is that, you know, in the best case ever, which is these things will disappear, it's easy as a delete or disable.
Yeah.
So the bad news is that we still have to develop all the tests for 6.0. Well, not all, but all these new tests. So I think our work
I
immediately will
think with
change anyway.
the API test hasn't changed much, and I think we're in a pretty good shape there, but correct me if I'm wrong. What we need to do is the data plane test, but without knowing anything about it, it doesn't look to me something that we cannot pull off in a month.
On real hardware, I think we can do it relatively easily.
Real hardware I'm talking, because we already agreed that we are not going to emulate the emulated environment. So
No, real hardware, I mean, we have the workflow, right?
Yeah.
It works. So I think if we have the hardware, we can.
it works unless I broke something yesterday.
It's a matter of just sticking a thing on either side and pinging through, right?
Something that
What could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
it's not going to be that easy, but it's something that we should be able to pull off in a month.
Yeah.
Or 3 weeks or whatever it is. Until the release.
Okay, so
Okay, can I move forward then? Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
you wanted to say something?
no.
Yeah, so the next question, so this is RCOD profile we already discussed, and there are no questions there, and it's just the data plane verification, which we had already talked about it. I think the next question that we have is, this is the important tests that are required from ONU OLT. So we will wait for the documentation. I think then once we get it, then maybe if we have more questions, then we'll get back to you on that. So no discussion there. So for MCOD, so the next question is for
That question, what are the most important tests required for 6.0? I think if we can test the ping, we're happy.
Ping.
Yeah. The closest granularity test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ping. that seems a pretty basic thing.
So
Software.
yeah, I'm not sure like if changing a way how configuring a variety of subscribers does it really matter the way we want to reach through the internet? So it's the same thing, right? Most of the scenarios would be mostly identical.
Well, eventually we should test things like multiple subscribers and all kinds of different things. But yeah, for now, we get one subscriber everything.
We never tried.
It's about the limits of the system right now.
Yeah. Luckily we are going to get 4 ONUs, so we should be able to test multiple subscribers using those.
If you ask a child, it works perfectly.
Yeah, I'm sure it works perfectly.
Yeah, so our goal is anyway to include one and multiple subscribers. So if there are any configurations in the subscribers that really matter the way, then yeah, probably another discussion.
So if everything works as expected in the next few days, you wouldn't even need to create a subscriber.
Right.
Yeah.
That will happen.
Although we should test.
We should test both workflows.
Both workflows. If it's in the code, then we give it to the users.
Well, that second workflow, it's implicitly testing the code.
Yeah,
we can do this.
When things are, no, I know what you mean. But when things are implicit and kind of testing.
No, what I mean is that the automatic provision of the subscribers is using the push down. So
yeah.
But those interface. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, sure. Agree. Let's have the automated one, which should be even easier in case we have the second one.
So can we move on? MCOD. Yeah, so the other question, Andy already mentioned about the OpenStack changes. So we'll wait for Andy before we start installing OpenStack. So for MCOD, the main, as I already mentioned earlier too, we have a couple basic tests. So we will just check the installation of the base environment, and then after that we will validate the MCOD services on it, the profile, and we have some instance validation tests, very basic one, so that is there. And there are a few other tests which are actually maintained by I think the NG40 team, so I'm not sure what their plan is, but at least the basic thing from our ONF QA point of view, this is what we used to do even earlier. So we will be running them, and I will contact with the community if they want to run additional tests on it. And I already discussed with Ping Ping yesterday regarding the next release of MCOD, and she was actually suggesting to use 6.0 once all the changes are there and validate all the tests. And there is no need of having MCOD 5.0, and because there are many bugs in MCOD 5.0 that we cannot even proceed with some of the tests there. So ideally, from 4.1, the MCOD release is going to be the next version is 6.0. So we will get this. So I got these answers from Ping Ping already. Anyone else has any comments on this? Okay. I think these are all the questions that we have, and this is as part of the older discussion, we covered everything else. Before we move on to the bugs, any other comments, items that needs to be added to our test plan? Okay, sounds good. It's time check 10:40, close to 10:40. So we quickly go over the the bugs which are blockers and the high priority bugs. So this is the list that we have,
yeah, the first one is mine. It's still there. I haven't really had time to spend on it. It's something that is not happening all the time, but sometimes only on the ONF pod, Chameleon or the Tosca containers fails to start, fail to connect to the core, and they need to be restarted. I tried to replicate that on a different 3-node environment set up with the same script, and I wasn't able to replicate it there.
Okay, so, is it a special environment?
Yeah, I don't know. This scares me a little when we do the assumption that everything should work the same way, no matter what the Kubernetes installation is.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, because I have never noticed this issue on the pods that we have been running. So I was curious if the environment is different.
Well, but you tried it on KubeSpray as well on another pod, and you didn't see. Yeah, so it's not really the Kubernetes, but
no, it's not. It's not the Kubernetes. It's something somewhere.
Oh.
Something unknown somewhere, but it doesn't seem to depend by the Kubernetes version.
No,
so,
it doesn't seem so.
Which is encouraging for me because at least our assumptions remain safe in theory.
In theory. So I don't know. Let's keep an eye on it. Maybe it's not a blocker. But let's see if someone else report it.
Okay.
I'll investigate it. I don't think I'll make it this sprint. I probably try to investigate it during the hardening sprint, but I will spend not more than 1 day on that.
All right.
And if someone, if I cannot find it or fix it, I'll reduce the priority. And if someone else starts reporting it too, I'll bump it on again.
All right. Thanks, Tio. I think we can ignore the next one unless Jono thinks that this is important. AAA app fails.
Jono just disappeared.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Okay, I'll check with him later. I think then the next one, John's, this must be regarding the fabric test that they are doing. Yowang, this is specific to the ONOS test, segment routing test that you have been running?
This one is an old bug, so I can check with John and Charles to see if they have already fixed or not.
Okay, so all right, thanks, Yowang. I think the ONOS related we just wanted to skip in this meeting, so just one,
okay, yeah.
And then we just focus on quad. Volta Helm delete takes a long time to resolve. Go.
Yeah, I've not started working on that yet. I'm looking at another small Volta irritant. At this stage, the issues with Volta Helm chart that I'm working on are not blockers. They are just irritating. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of them. I'm working on a few bugs down this list. 2.9. So I will get to this sprint, but not just yet. Right now, I'm working on the next one, 2.9.8.6. I do think that I have a fix for it, but I don't have enough resources on my laptop to test it. So I'm trying to test it on a Cloud Lab machine.
Okay.
Once I have a fix for it, once I'm able to verify that it is fixed, I will push it, and that will close today, hopefully, and then I'll go to 3055, the one we just talked about. I think 3055 will be a little more involved because we kind of know what the issue is. Basically, Kafka and Kafka-related components are taking a long time to shut down. I don't really know how to fix that without changing the way API server is launched, and that is a complex thing to do, the Kubernetes API server. In any case, I'll investigate that immediately after the one that I'm doing right now.
So you will take care of moving into which sprint, right?
I hope to get either a fixed or get it fixed or will not fix this sprint. I don't think I'll have to move it to next sprint.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Gopi.
No problem.
I think the next two are mine. So this we already discussed with Matteo on this. Matteo, you have been working on 3042, I guess, already. Looks like.
Yeah, I started working on that. And the other one, I plan to work on both of this sprint. They're not ones.
Okay. Thanks, Matteo. Luca, write official documentation. Oh, right. Isn't this a story then, Luca?
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know why it's on me necessarily, but I'm not going to write the entire documentation, right? I'm writing the deployment part. And by the way, part of the deployment part.
This is actually writing the deployment part of the documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's listed as a bug, but it's not a bug.
So should we make it a story then? It's okay, right?
Sorry.
Okay, so Wang, skipping your segment routing test here.
Yeah.
The next high one is instance ID field missed in BSG service instances with subscribers using same stack. I think this is related to this.
That's
I guess.
definitely in the old workflow.
Oh, this was in the old work. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, BSG service.
Instance ID. So I won't close that off. Unless we fix it for 5 October.
Yeah, exactly. We can just remove it then. Not required to fix. Okay, I think that is all in the list. Unless there are any other items you want to bring from the medium priority, Scott or Andy, any others from here that really need to be made high? Brappert is not working on that.
I don't think so.
No, yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, 3095 I did just fix and close out.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thanks a lot. I think that is all we have on this list, but I will keep monitoring this bug list from now on because we started to test. And if there are anything, we change the priorities as we move forward. And in either one of the stand-ups, I can quickly bring up one of these bugs if we want to discuss more or after in a quick bug scrub meeting. Anything else? All right. QA, we don't have any other items. If no other items, then we can close the meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.